Our guest today is Tatiana Tosi, a social behavior trends expert and researcher with an emphasis on netnography, the study of digital consumer behavior. She has over 13 years of experience working as a consultant in development of analytical products and business metrics. She's been working for over 10 years as a startup mentor and postgraduate professor in netnography. Today, we are going to talk to her about digital activism, data ownership, and digital citizenship. Welcome to the Controverse.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Sofian. It's an honor to be here. And where
Awesome.
we start?
Where do we start? Yeah, that's a good question.
Exactly.
The first thing I want to ask you is, we've in the introduction I touched on three very big terms, right? Digital activism, data ownership, digital citizenship. I was wondering if you can give us just the basics, the groundwork. What are these terms? What do these terms mean, and why do they matter? I think that's already quite a topic there.
Yeah. Let's start first with our umbrella, which is digital activism. When we say digital activism is in a way that we all are empowered to use our data in order to change behavior, in order to really be a protestant, not really make manifestos. In order to make manifestos, we do need to have, when we are saying about data ownership, it's what we are, it comes from a place that we already have consumer ownership. Basically, when you buy a brand and when you decide to do basing on a brand, you are actually making a conscious decision of your consumer behavior. And when we are taking up on the same level on ownership of our data, is actually saying everything that we do has our digital footprint, meaning digital dust, really what we make it everyday log in our life. Twitter, our social streaming, basically. And just our social streaming is more than some gigabytes by itself. And by consequence of getting your conscience of your data that you produce in your everyday own life line, own life, we come to digital citizenship, meaning as a citizen, now you are empowered to use your data stream to empower your manifesto and to use your data either for social good, for private use, but it's your data. Right now, what we do have is a mix, a very good mix on that we do produce everyday data and it's on the big techs, but we do not have the ownership of saying, Sir Google, even though you're making revenues on me, I do want to have some part of that revenue. And as we go to the data wallet, basically think if you have, if you're using a digital bank, even Orange or any Mesa or any of the new banks, they all have digital wallets. A digital wallet based on your email, but that digital wallet, it'll be based on your email, but you do have your social streaming of data on it. That's the difference. It'll be, the concept is the same as a digital payment wallet, but the difference is We are taking care of the data stream of your daily life. Because today, who is taking care of your data stream is not just the big techs, all the marketing data, everybody that is using the data sets that are available and not available. And when we say about the data sets, we do have an issue that some data sets are available for use. So you can go and you plug in and you can do your tests and that's fine. But most of the data sets that we do have around the globe, it's still frozen. It's a closed box. It's a closed Pandora box. So we need to open step by step.
I think one thing that is hard to understand for especially young people is what is the value in data? It's just data. And then some people say, who work with AI and stuff, data is the new digital oil, or, can you maybe give us an example of why it's so important to have this wallet where you have the value of your data?
Yes, and I understand when a teen comes and say, to me, I'm just doing another channel and I'm cleaning out my first YouTube channel. Think on this way, like I would say our generation, because I think so we are almost on the same ages. First, like our dad's generation, I say my parents, comes from a generation of DNAs. They are basically everything. You need to be extra confidential. Everything is locked. Everything is very locked. From our generation side, we come to a generation that still we are based on confidentiality, but we do have a little bit more open. So we are having Creative Commons, we do have whistleblowers, we are beginning to open up a little bit more. And with our generation, if I come to you and say, please delete your YouTube channel that you have for almost 10 years, you're going to say, are you nuts? That's my life. I asked the same question for my nephew, who is 14, and he'll tell me, cool, that's fine by me. I already put it another channel with a friend, and I will create another with another friend to talk about another game. So they don't have, for us, we do have, in a way, a hoard, in a way to really have the backups of everything. So we do have backup 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because we got used to, and because it's more security than anything else. We are talking to a generation here that basically have no backup. Basically for them, they get to their cell, and if they need to redo it again and they don't remember the passwords and don't remember, that's fine by them. That's why to them it's so hard to understand the importance of the data streaming. Because in our everyday for them, they're doing a way that I'm using a Twitter today when I am 14, 15, or 16. And if my next handle on Twitter will be when I'll be 21st, it'll be different. But for us, like I have my Twitter handle for almost 15 years or so. Like for them, they just have need Gmail for everything that they want. So it's hard to them to realize that even though it's very easy to delete and not have it anymore on the channel and so on, they don't realize it, that even though they delete, this stream, it'll be somewhere else. It'll be data dust that later on it'll be collected either by research or anything else. So it's hard to them to come to a place that you say, to us, we do have a sense of, you know, I possess it. So that's my handle, that has been my life. And, you know, you really take care, like as part of your digital archive, like your digital memory, in a sense. And to them, no, they are constructing everyday archives, and they don't have the sense that they do need to have these backups or to have the data wallets. And we do had in another example, an extreme example. It was Trump on the Obama, the last US elections. Trump got elected, and Obama has been really taking care a lot of, in a way, of digital privacy. Somehow he was really taken care of. And what happened that was between the Federal Public Library, like the researchers of the most important library in the US, what they did a backup of the whole site of the Obama administration as a whole, because the first thing that Trump did, it was to take it down. So the first part that when we talk to archives and digital memories and digital ownership is, I need to take care of what is already there, what has been written and what has been done, because when we do have, in this case, the Trump administration saying, actually taking down everything that Obama had it, and the look for the Obama Foundation, it was that the Federal Library and the researchers of the Federal Library did an amazing job on digital archive and digital memory to really connect everything that Obama has been doing in the 80 years. So that's the kind of importance that we are dealing with.
I have a question for you in terms of tracking, data tracking, which I think is also, you know, a very interesting topic. We know obviously that these really big companies are tracking us, and our data and our digital footprint is being tracked, right? But I'm wondering, if you really want to take ownership of your data, do you think we should be able to track our data as well, as it is our data? Like you said, it is our data. You know, we should take ownership of our data, but how can we take ownership of our data without knowing where it's going or what's happening to our data? Do you think that's something that should be done in the future more?
Yes, I think so. Well, like when we are talking to data tracking by itself or the data flows, we do need to make it easier for everyone in a way that when we stress here on accessibility, but it's really accessibility in a way that a 5-year-old can do it. Because if I put it in a high level as a PhD, nobody will understand. But as a PhD researcher, he will say, okay, I need to go through this level, pass through this level, ask for the security, and so on and so on. What we need to do is how we can, this data tracking, part of it is already here. It's already made. It has been done by marketing by itself in a way that, okay, we know the Brazilians would love to, like we just got on the highest level here on the red level again. So we are on lockdown because of bad Brazilian policy. But anyways, but the thing is, everyone needs to have access to it. Really need to understand in a way that, okay, I do understand that it's happening with the Brazilian data on COVID, for example, because it's open to everyone in a way that has been done by everyone in the world that has been sharing their data. And we have been sharing as well as long as the government itself shares it with us. So when we share this level, when we get higher to the level of data sharing, I can assure to you and say, okay, that data that you told me on the hospital place, it makes that data combo is made of, has been the regions of Middle West and so on and so on and so on, and has these demographics characteristics. And when I go to the other part of it, which is the part that we do need to really make it happen, because right now we do have the data flow when we go to private enterprise, that we do have a little bit better to understand this data tracking. But we do not have what that private company is doing with my data.
Yeah.
Because they are just sharing with the agencies, with other companies, but very few. And then it's making it hard, actually making it harder and harder and harder to share with everybody else, because, and that's one of the issues that when we come to, not just they use for public good in a way, like what we can use concerning COVID and what can make it better, what really happened, what worked in a place can work somebody else, really data sharing. But when it comes to sharing, it comes to how the generations have been educated towards sharing. Because some generation comes to you, and the older generations, for example, was used to say, no, I do share everything. I'm like, really? And when I ask, I'm like, hold on, you are holding really important data. But for, it's behavior. So you don't really see your pattern until somebody else comes and knocks on your door and say, you're wrong, you need to share that data.
These are the people that say, I have no secrets, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, hello, if, and in my side as a researcher, as a teacher, we come to a place that I cannot see myself not sharing. What I can see is saying, like, okay, I'm sharing with you this info. And if you see the level is higher, just let me know if you have a doubt, or you go for it and see in another language that is easier for you to understand it. Not making difficult to realize that. And it comes from how every nation works with sharing. And that's I think so the hardest part as an evangelization or even education primary. And access again, like because data tracking comes like you can put you can imagine your data stream based on your blockchain, really nice and easy and everything, and you can really know what is happening. But for you, it's easier to understand what a blockchain is. I don't know if a teenager is ready for a blockchain, but he needs to start to understand what blockchain really means and why it's important that I do have decentralized information. Because we do have been, in a way, used to too much centralized information, too much Pandora boxes, and we do need to open that Pandora boxes.
So you think the main solution to take a look at our data and control our data is decentralization, moving more of our data into some kind of blockchain scheme, and then I guess we're also getting into what you talked about yesterday to us, which was about the digital IRS number or something like that. So you really have an identity, like an online identity. Because right now, obviously, we have a real life IRS number, but the digital realm, I would say, has no borders, right? It's one big web. So this is, if this would be implemented in some way, it would have to cross borders the same way, right? Do you think that's something that can be realized?
I think we do have, Estonia is a great example in a way that, okay, she has not all the other political issues on it. But when we do talk digital, Estonia has been from round one, digital IDs, but it's your ID and it'll be your reflection through life. That's okay. But and as well as a reflection, the last part of it, I think so Estonia made it on 2019, the possibility for you to have really like to have your digital certificate, to get a note and so on. So you actually don't need to be in Estonia to have a business in Estonia. You just have your pen drive with your digital certificate, and you are living in the Caribbean islands. Wow. And that's fine.
So they are digital citizens then.
Yeah. And then, right now he's in the Caribbean. Tomorrow he'll be there in Italy having fun. So, okay, it's fine. It's cool. That's like the great part of that story. And what is the gray one? Like the gray areas that we have. We do have issues on citizenship by itself. Like if I ask, at least like when we're saying Latin America, when it comes to IDs by itself, like we do not have in a way that you do have in Switzerland, that you do have, it's more like pretty much organized by, okay, we do have organized by states, but we do not have the states communicating with each other. So I can have a double somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, and they are just like little pieces of that when we are saying about that digital ID, that digital ID would be the one that put it not just on the pen drive for your digital certificate, but is the one that it's in your wallet, it's in your smartphone. It can be analog somewhere else if you want to, but in a way that it has to come with your real citizenship. So in a way, as a real citizenship, what I'm saying is like what I'm touching in real life, what I have as a right ownership to a dual citizenship or a fourth citizenship and so on, and my RS info and you know, everything together as a bundle of info. But I can say to myself and say, okay, cool, this data one for an RS, I can really help projects from Data for Good that will make sure that we will have a better hospitals tomorrow. That's my banking information that I'm getting allowed to by open banking regulations. I can really tell and say, you know, bank, I know you know a lot about me and my behavior. And right now, I just want you to use this data, this specific data, for that action, for this really campaign that is going on and so on. Please do not send me loans. Do not send me more securities for me to buy. Please don't push me to pushing behaviors. You know,
don't abuse the data you have. Only use it for specific things that I allow you.
Yes, otherwise it'll be like every day if you go to, you know, we go to Amazon and the next day you don't have an email anymore. You have an spam email. Either you decided to travel or not, they are going to be every single day sending you a push of saying, you know, you need to go to the Caribbean tomorrow. Like, hello, I don't have it right now. I'm just looking at it. And in a way, how can we make it sure on this thin line of the data sharing and the digital ID that the strings are equal?
I think another important topic that I think needs to be said very easily and simply is that because you started with sharing, but sharing also says that it's my data. I am the owner, and not only the owner, I am the creator. By going somewhere, maybe some other person or entity is collecting the data and, you know, saving it somewhere, but I am the one who's producing it. So I have these, I don't know how you call it, but in German we have a word for it. It's like with an artist. If an artist has the idea for something, he creates something. He is the owner of the original thing, and he licenses his work. So actually, we should kind of license, and this is what you mean by sharing, kind of, right?
Exactly. I think so. Like you put it in the very right words, like the data rights by itself. Like as we do have the, you know, legal rights for a movie or, you know,
music,
a song,
photography,
music, so on, photography, and
creative property. Maya says, "Thank you."
Yeah, it's property, and we need to treat as a property. Right now, I can say that we are in a wide west of, basically big techs are, they are covering up very nicely.
And that's
Depends on
crazy,
the-
right? Because in real life,
Yeah,
if
it's
someone would
crazy.
come behind me and write down everything I do, I think at least after 5 minutes I would be angry. Like, what the hell are you doing? Stop writing down what I
And
That's what's happening, right?
I don't know, like if you even, that on Facebook, you can ask for your data backup, right?
Yeah. Before I deleted my account on Facebook, I did it, but I never opened up the package. So I still don't know what they actually collected.
No, it's crazy. It's all on PDF. And I think so. It was later on, I tell you the right name of, I think so it was a movie or not the movie. But she was just saying like, it was a movie and it was a book in itself. And she asked for a data backup and it was like 1,000 pages. Hello, when are you going to read the 1,000 pages?
Mm.
Even if you love reading, like, no, like you're making sure that I will not read. You're making sure that the data, the way you are giving me the data has no use. That's why you do not even dare to open.
Mm.
But if it was a data that you could use and say, here is an Excel of what you had been the most important days of your life. Here is a book, actually a data image set of the most important days of your life on Facebook. Here is, when we segmented, when we really use here are the JPEGs, all the images. Here are your movies. Here are what you have been doing with your family. Here's what you have been sharing with your friends. Hello, yes, I can use that data.
So we need a way of standardizing the way it is shown to us, right? Because there's no standard. They might as well just send us the ones and zeros, right?
Exactly. Yeah. To them, it's just like
here's your data. 10111011.
Yeah.
You have to decrypt it yourself.
Like it took, I think so. I did it like for a test. It was like 15 days. I'm like, hello.
Wow.
Actually, so to me as a consumer, you're taking me 15 days. If I am an ad agency and asking you, I do need this type of consumer that has these demographic issues and so on and so on and so on, you'll give me tomorrow the data set.
Yeah.
So don't tell me you don't have the data. You do have it.
Yeah.
But you make sure I don't use the data. Because everybody else goes and see this PDF and say, are you nuts? I'm not even to open that. My everyday life is already too much info. Why am I going to get more info?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's because we are not the customer of these companies, right? We are the product. And we're not Facebook's customer or any Google's customer or something like that, even though we like to think so, right? Yeah.
And in a way that there is not just the quality of that data, but how we interoperate with it, in a way that, okay, so if I am someone big, you will take care of me. If I am an NGO in South Africa that needs to understand South African behaviors and don't have zero budget for that, you say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything else. But then if you go and talk to the best data scientists that we do have out there, they will go and get the web scraping to work and you will get the data that you need to understand South African behavior. Even though it will not be as legal as if Facebook by itself and comes to you and say, you know, I know this data for good. Here's our percentage of using to social impact. Here's your data. Go ahead and use for good.
Mm.
So there is an intrinsic way as well when we say on the governance of that data. Because we do, okay, we are the product. I agree with you because nobody even, I think so. Did you guys saw, it's a small movie a long time ago, ages ago, that was called Terms and Conditions?
Yes, yeah, it was a documentary. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on that extreme, it was, I saw another documentary, German documentary on how Facebook have contracted Indonesians that works on every day in the platform, in actually in the subsystem of the platform, just to passing whole day deleting violence, you know, terror, suicides, and so on. And of course, they are sub-paid because they are in Indonesians. They basically, they are contracted because they do have a very good English, but they don't have, you know, quality life in itself. And at the same time, when this documentary came, it was, I think so, not last year, but 2019 for sure, on the film festivals. It wasn't on the film festivals itself, but it was in the indie way of, it was like, I went to the movie, I was like, 4 people was down there, so you have an idea.
Yeah.
To watch that movie. And the consequence of that is that when Facebook by itself goes to talk to the California and to the Europeans policymakers, he comes and say, that's my solution. Hello, but that's not the best solution, because you do have Indonesians and all them that have been doing the deleting of that have been, you know, suicidals, have been depressions, everything you can imagine on, because you can imagine every day of your life working 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 and just seeing violence. What do you do? Like you go to your house and you kill someone. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is like, it's an equal. Like the force that you are saying that you are complying as a compliance behavior is not being compliant. Because the other side of there is a human being that had been every single day, you know, attracted in a way of as a violence behavior. Yeah. So there is so many extremes on that data governance. That's why we need to make sure, if we start as a manifestos of data ownership, the digital citizenship, it's almost like we are telling a message, not just for, and that's one thing that it really triggers me in Clubhouse. It has been on, at least on most of the days, like I'm not really a heavy Clubhouse user, but we do have some niches, and basically the AI niche by itself. And the policymakers of AI and researchers of AI around the globe had been there. So for the first time, as we had it on Twitter before, the meetups of Netnographers and so on, like we do have really policymakers, really researchers looking for, and at least talking, even though not already doing an action by itself, but as, you know, saying, okay, you here, what we can do. Because I cannot say okay, the Brazilian will do that. No, I can say Tati will do that.
Yeah.
I myself, I can take it by myself.
Yeah.
But I cannot take care of the what will be the Brazilian action, but I can steer up the environment and come up and say, hey, you guys, we need to really take care of that.
This is where we come back to activism, right? We have to start
Yeah, exactly.
to be active, raise awareness, teach each other, educate each other, and start to realize what's happening, because it's been going on for quite a while now. You've been researching this for 15 years?
I had been working on ethnography with almost 15 years. So
wow.
Yes, my everyday life is to understand digital behavior.
And what are what did you find out so far? I mean, apart from the citizenship, the importance of data and everything, maybe one question that I was curious about is, what did you learn about digital behavior? Is it the same? Is it changing? Is it evolving?
Yeah, we do have some phases of that. Like you do have, when we say the elderly by itself, and that are actually, we can say, as more teens right now than before, because they are behaving much more. They are starting to really not under some of them that is already as an insider is working much better with technology by itself. But you do have the elderly that is getting used to, when it comes to WhatsApp, Telegram, and Facebook and all that, to just to have to talk with their nephews, their sons, and so on. So they are starting all that. When we talk to the other extremes, which are like the teenagers are the ones that, you know, please, I'll never be in Facebook. My dad is on Facebook, you know, please. So they are like, they are on TikToks, and they are using Discord, and they are going, if everybody else say, you know, you better go to the parallel universe of Fortnite as a gamer, he will do that. And say to him, no, you have a Twitch TV channel, and start streaming how they are gaming. That's already normal to them. And when we do have on the middle of all that, we do have the ones that I can say that are much more conservatives in a way, like that. They do have much more as a work balance and behavior. But since COVID, they changed it. They changed it in a way how they approach information, how they receive the information, in a way. And then when as we talked yesterday a little bit on media literacy, the importance of to say, you know, please do not share fake news. But to them, sometimes they don't realize it's a fake news because they don't dig to the source. And that's one behavior that most of them, unless you are really a researcher, unless you really have, unless you are a journalist, when you are, unless you're a video maker, when you are a documentarist, when you really have an importance to understand what we have, what we construct. Yesterday I saw the documentary The Way We See It, that was from Pete Azevedo. He was the photographer for Barack Obama in the 80 years. Mm-hmm. And he was just saying in the process, like, hello, I'm here documenting history. I'm here as an historian, as a photographer, as a historian. So if you look in your data stream as an historian, and I love history, so if you see that the importance of what you do, of what you construct, as you'll be saying, like, these breadcrumbs, you will really, like, my grandparents will see it, my nephews, my next generation will see it. You don't share anymore as much as of your private life, because you take more, in a way, it takes you more conscious of what you're doing, but at the same time, you think I'm making history as well. So in a way, I cannot just not show as much as real life, but I do need to show real life, but not as an Instagrammer life. Like when I'm saying Instagrammer life, yeah, food photos, everything is nice. My life is great. I'm just having fun and full of parties. When the truth comes, and when we are saying since COVID strikes, we did have a difference in behavior on how, not just working from home, because you do have people that was the first timers in their life to work from home, and really to understand that everything comes as one. So you really never had that difference between personal and business life. Actually, you are one, either business or personal. You are just Tati as itself. So the balance on the digital life comes that you don't have it anymore. Like, oh, I was used to go to the movies. I was used to see my friends and go out and to the bar and so on. And that social life got, in a way, cut it by itself. As you cut off by that, with whom I'm going to talk other than business? Yeah. How, and then you have house parties, the app house party, helping out as another application. Everybody using more Google Meets and Google and Zoom and so on. For the ones that have been working already with sharing, with doing work with different people, and already work as a remote worker for a long time. To me, like, I have been a remote worker for almost 14 years. I didn't feel a thing. To me, it was cool. Yeah. But if I ask everybody else, everybody was like, Tati, what I do, how you behave on that? I'm like, hello. Like, you do need to have a discipline. You do need to, okay, this time for coffee, this time is family time, this time is my exercise time, this time I'll be working on that. And later on, I'll watch a movie. Later on, I'll give a call to some friends. But you do need to have some work balance, work-life balance, no? And in a way that what we need to And when we say about this digital citizenship, it comes to a way of how we do our data streams as well. Because sometimes we share the most private thing in our life in our Instagram, in our Facebook album. And they're like, no, I cannot believe that. I'm like, yes, I can tell, but by your behavior that you got divorced, that now you're having a different lifestyle, that now you're more open to this, and that, and that you are going to try to be far away as possible to your ex-husband. And at the same time, you're telling this, and that message on Instagram. And you are looking to hook up with somebody else on that behavior. Because the one that was really shy becomes outgoing, becomes saying, I hated country music, and all of this suddenly she's listening all the country playlist. Hello, what happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, and you do that so normal that you don't see a string of difference.
Yeah. It's interesting because you remember, Tom, our 5th episode was about change, like how much we change, how it's impossible to not change, but having a chronicle log of it where someone can just go in and see like when there's a timestamp.
It's quantified.
Yes, exactly.
Here's the change. Here's another one.
Exactly.
Yeah, there is, I don't know if you remember, there was an art exhibition a long time ago, was called 8 Billion Others. He was a documentarian, and he was just videographing 8 million people and sharing their views on love, on rage, on political views, and so on. And when you said now the quantify itself, today we are so quantified. Like we can tell by, I cannot tell, but my iPhone can tell me how many steps I did today. If I want, they would tell me how many swimming laps I did yesterday. And everything, it'll be so quantified, as I do have a data imagery quantified by itself. So you can imagine when we treat digital memory that you do have bits and bytes of images, of behavior, and at the same time, how we can how we show ourselves to the society, how the society see ourselves, and at the same time, we have been so much quantified that we need sometimes to go to reverse again. Okay, that's cool to know how many steps I did, to know that I eat properly today, but really every day I need to go there and make it sure that I make the tracker habit, the app, and saying, okay, I did walk for 20 minutes. Great. Tomorrow I walk for 10. And this on that. It's almost like you're doing a checklist of yourself every single day. So how much of that do I really need? Okay, I do need to help me out and change my behavior and to wake up early and so on. That's fine. But then you use for the 20-something days that you can change your behavior. And then you don't need to be tracking it anymore unless you wanted to do a track record of yourself and show the, the little medals for yourself.
Yes.
Unless you are competing and say, you walked more than me, or you have been, as a swimmer competition. Okay, if you're doing that as for a performance, that's fine.
But I think this is
how much performance do we need to have?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. The thing is, we're gonna slowly have to wrap it up because our time is up. But maybe one last thing that we could maybe scratch the surface on is, I think this is where gamification is coming from, right? Because now you compete with everyone in society, and there's even a Black Mirror episode about this. And then China did the project with the real life scenario experiment, I guess. Well, because I guess this is kind of what's happening right now with our digital citizenships coming into place and getting these small achievements and everything. I don't know. I just wanted to bring it on the table. What do you guys have to say about it?
I think so. There is an importance on the not just the data literacy that we are creating and the narratives and so on. And when we say to the gamification of life, we do have another issue on that is, okay, gamification is cool. It's a very nice way to learn, and gamification comes really handy to everything else. But when you have gamification and cybersecurity issues, then it can get really dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in one way, I'm giving you the best cookie, the Swiss cookie ever. In the other side of that chain of the cookie, I'm giving your data to the Swiss company that tomorrow will, send you an email saying, hello, I know you love that cookie.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. We know you can't live without the cookies.
I guess it's an easy way to lure people into a trap, right? Because gamification is, of course, I guess, a way to quantify our actions towards ourselves, with these medals and everything, just to see, okay, where am I going without having to think about it. But yeah, it's also very addicting, right? So if you keep wanting to go to the next medal, and then especially if they work with these little level bars where you have to, every time you have to do 3 times as much work, and then 5 times as much work, and then 10 times as much work. So it can get very addicting, but it could be, a secret trap, basically, that they could build into that, right? Because that's what they're getting from us, I guess, from
potentially, definitely, exactly. It's potentially a trap. Like someone has to want to use it in a bad way, I guess.
And probably.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I think so. Like when we are saying the behavior in itself, like when we are really talk about that digital citizenship, in a way, it's like, please take care of your data. You know what I mean? Like you use it every day. You log on to your banking apps, you log on to your Twitter, you log on to Strava to have a ride, and every day you are logging in. But if I ask to you, what was the first thing you did in the morning? What was it? What did you check first? Or you didn't check? Or did you put your phone in a chain, like airplane chain, and that you were not going to see anything?
I think the first thing I did in the morning was check your message. I'm not sure.
Oh no!
So I was on Instagram the first thing in the morning. Or a work message, but yeah.
For me, it is usually Instagram for me.
It's crazy. I see it in
And
my
if I
fiance
ask,
as well.
I ask every time my students, I'm like, tell me first. They're like, what's up? The second would be email, first it'd be Instagram. It just changed. And if I ask my nephew, he would tell me TikTok. He would tell me the Discord. He would tell me and say, I was chatting about Dungeons and Dragons and doing the role play and so on. And I have been in a group chat for a while. So when even I say to them, like sometimes I go to a farm that is really far away from here. I'm in Sao Paulo, the city itself. But sometimes I go to a farm that is like 7 hours away from here.
Okay.
And we are used to that farm to be offline, really offline. Like it wasn't a place that, when we go there, you have an internet reach until certain place. And afterwards, we didn't have any more access to internet or telephone or anything else. And everybody was like, Tati, but how can you make it? Like you go and you stay in the farm and you're going to be offline? I'm like, yes, that's cool. That's nice. I can read my books. I can, focus on something else, go swimming.
Do we need to call a doctor? You want to be offline and no one's forcing you?
And then what happened? Because of before COVID, the government itself on that region, which is the region that has very beautiful ponds and very beautiful place, they decided to no, we do need to have some telephone connection or at least internet connection for the people that live there, because they are really low income people. And okay, so then the government decided to do this program. So they gave access to that people. And basically, right now, okay, it's great. Right now, we can go to the farm and I can work. If I need to go to the farm and work for a while and stay there and work online, I can do that. Before I couldn't. But we didn't upgrade for that to happen. Otherwise, no. But what happened with that people before that didn't have the internet and just had to go to the one farm to another to talk to each other, they share their Wi-Fi connections. Basically, when you are on one Wi-Fi, they tell you, no, this one is open if you need anything. But the most important part of that difference on behavior is that right now, like in Sao Paulo, in Brazil in itself, we do, in Latin America, we do have a lot of inequalities, and it goes a long way. And one of the things, not just inequality on internet access, but you do have inequality as well on basic needs, saying energy. Okay, we had been there for a while, and that on that time, it happens that we stayed out of energy for 2-3 days. It was like something happened really bad. So when that happened, like the energy that it takes care for you to talk to the group, to go ahead and say, we need to go and call and make a call and go to the city and make a manifesto and say, we are a region here that does need energy, and you do have that region is cheesemakers, milk processors, and so on. They cannot even stay out of energy. Otherwise, like the milk that they are going to sell is no longer good. So the same internet that helps them to get on the group chat and to come and say, you know, here are the issues of the region that is going on. It's the same internet that when they really need on time of chaos, they don't have it because of the inequalities by itself. So if I did have a very nice energy power that really has been done great and so on, but since we are talking to nature itself, like some things you can predict, some others is not in your side, but it's really deep. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, they can have the group chat, but the same group chat will be talking to and saying gossips around everybody else and so on, because they are not, their level of education that they do have is the really basic level. So if I tell them that even though they have an internet that can show to them and say, you know, do a course, read that, follow these, I can have a stream of different things for them. But to them, they're going to say, you know, thank you, you know, either you have it in Portuguese, either you have not even as, you know, in other languages and so on, but they do need to have in Portuguese by itself. Okay, we do have a lot of materials now that Udemy, Coursera, all the major MOOCs are in Portuguese. But if you come to a place, like, I don't need to go for a way, like, there was an example that I was like, I cannot believe that. You know, it's one of my cousins, and she came to me, no, Tati, can you invite me to Clubhouse? I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. I had an invite, I sent to her, and she got it. And then she comes to me and say, but everything is in English. I'm like, yes, hello, welcome to the world. Everything is in English. But she's like, but there is some rules in Portuguese. Yes, there will be some rules that just, sometimes it's just ego trips from the marketing gurus that is just a pain in the ass. So basically, I don't go to that group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm saying to her, you know, now is time for you to learn English. Like, she's 20s, on her 20s, and we had been telling them to learn English for a long time. And to them, she's like, no, English to me is not a priority. I'm like, okay, cool. So, you know, I myself, when I see on Clubhouse that sometimes we do have king.com down there having very interesting chats, but he's putting in German, you know. I do speak French, Portuguese, English, and Spanish, but I do not speak German. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even for the Brazilian behavior, I'm already outstanding. But I still, you know, I can be just there listening to German and understand niche. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I do tend to listen to him from time to time, and I think only his English talks are very interesting. The German talks are more, well, I don't know. They are maybe interesting if you're a fan, but it's not that interesting. It's more sarcastic, fun house where people just, it's a cool club,
great.
cool kids club, so you don't miss out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
But do you know what I'm saying is like the
totally.
level of that digital citizenship depends as much education as you have. So if I can empower my cousin, the one that is in the region, the low income that needs that, and that really needs that connection to get a better life, I will do that.
Yeah, sure.
But I do need to put the info in the right box. Yeah. Otherwise, if I put the PhD thesis for them, they're going to say, hello, I'm sorry, I'm going to see Big Brother, that is better.
Yeah.
than to understand what you're saying to me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing, that the importance of data literacy and media literacy, because we do need to have both to communicate and really do an digital activism in a way that I can really talk to the low income that needs more resources to get a better life, the other ones that need different stream of resources that will help them to be, to live anywhere in the world, and the one that wanted to, go and dive and cool. But you do need to make it easy, really easy, because we tend to, even as scholars, to make it complicated for them. And talk complicated, nobody likes. Like, if you talk to a lawyer, he's the really guy that it will just say, really difficult for you to understand nothing.
Yeah.
Because for him, that's the best way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a lawyer reading your contract, tomorrow you'll be like with no power.
Yeah.
Because you really got the power, gave the power to him, and when you don't have that information. So it's the same thing. I know it's hard. I know we are just touching a level, but just in a way that we do need to make sure that we have a responsibility on social impact, on how we not just take care of our data by itself, but to everybody else, it's like, oh no, that's great that you are doing that, and that you're looking for, worried about public policy is not affecting me or anything else, when in fact it's affecting your daily life.
Yeah.
But you don't realize it because the policymakers are so far away from you, and do not even go and have a chat with you, that you don't feel that it claims the same importance.
Yeah.
Because it's just far away. You're saying, oh no, it will affect my next generation, not me.
Yeah.
Okay, but you are being affected right now. And if you don't do anything right now, tomorrow you pay the consequences.
Yeah.
And the consequences, either by populism, either by every single extreme behavior that we have seen, we already saw that picture. We still have, I think so, every year we still have movies on Holocaust. So like, it's still to remember what have been passing through. And we still have people denying that, which is worse than anything else. That we do have the ones that are denying vaccines, for example. I'm like, hello, you're denying, you're saying that you're protecting your son, denying the vaccine that has been tested scientifically. Okay, we do have all the issues with that, but it's science. You know what I mean? And when you deny science, when you deny behavior, past behavior, when you go to that extreme line, you need, the first thing that we need to do is, hello, you have the ownership of doing for your data stream, because you really every day are using you every day are constructing your daily data life. So it's up to you to make a difference and say, no, I will not that. And then we go to the other extreme, that is like, no, I'm in no place online. And that's cool. That's fine to be off-grid. And it's hard to be off-grid as well. Because sometimes you do not have the same resources as you do as online. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's we do need to just wrapping up in a way that we do need to have more an equilibrium in not just in that inequality by itself, but on how that governance will take care, how we as a citizen can construct and start develop the data wallets by itself, and say to the governments and say, here is the first pilot, and here's the beta version, here's the second one, and here's the third one. Because there is, as we say it, we still have no data standard. And we do need to have a data standard when we transfer that. Like when we do have, and when we are saying through the GDPR, I think so the only one that has already worked on that was Japan by itself. But because he has been working on technology, I don't know, for centuries. And Japan by itself has a story of ancestry. So they could really understand the importance of archiving, of really constructing that data memory. So these ownership, these data wallets, I think so, like it can really be a starter point and an influx point for the policymakers, for the research, for the business market, and mainly to take by ourselves the power that we already have, our data rights, our everyday data rights.
I think that's a very important word, right? These rights. I think that's what it's all about in the end. This data activism is we have to, I guess, fight for our universal, universal basic rights. We have human rights. We have the universal basic human rights. Those are established, but we don't have universal, digital rights. And I think, this is what this is coming down to, right? This is about digital rights. This is about accountability. What you said before, with the the deniers of science and things like that. So rights, accountability, traceability, but that also comes with the universal data citizenship. But that also needs universal regulation. I think because we've talked about it before. The digital realm goes across borders, so we need some kind of universal regulation to really structure this. And regulate this, but universally across the globe, because that's what the digital world is. So I guess that's why it hasn't come to fruition yet, right? Because the world is still divided in all these countries, and everyone kind of does their own thing. So I guess that's why it's so hard to go to dig down into this. But thanks to researchers like you, we're gonna have this. This is definitely coming. I think there's no other way than this. This is coming to us. We need universal regulation. We need universal basic digital rights, accountability, traceability. These are things that just don't exist yet.
We do need to
exactly
to have really to put on our how can I say in a way that really to put our streams in a way, like really put it down there as a manifesto, in a way that everybody, okay, German is doing that, France is doing that, Latin America and Brazilians have been doing this, We do have some in Mexico, Italians, and so on. Like every single one has been dealing with that topic in a way or another.
Yeah, differently, in different ways.
Differently, like
That's
on
the thing.
AI, on how I can treat AI, or how I can the AI bias and so on. But the thing is, like, you guys can come and say, like, let's do a huge panel, like, you know what I mean, and come and say, you know, what you guys have been working on as well. Because even though we do know as a researcher what's going on in the macro field of that story, I cannot really tell what is the heat in Germany or what is the heat in Switzerland and what's going on in the Mexican. Unless a Mexican comes to me and say, you know, Tati, this is going on here. They are really denying the Indians. I'm like, what? How? No, here is what's going on. Okay, but then like you do have a local coming to you and say, that's going on. Because sometimes the universal, it's really what we are aiming for. Nationwide, that's what we, as a nations, we all have been trying to work on. But if I don't have a citizen that come to me and say, as we do have, I don't remember, last year, the International Film Festival was showing one movie of a Polish documentary on LGBT on Russian, and used deepfake to desensitize the voice and so on, because, you know, they had been just being killed just by being LGBT in Russia. And the way that he did that commentary, showing up the, you know, how they are really negating that, right? That's the same way. Like if a Russian didn't come and say, you know, I have to really show, I really need to be a whistleblower and so on and so on and so on, is not even by choice. It's because of political freedom of speech. And when we do have that, is because we do have silence placed, you know, silence communities that have been silenced along the way. So when I say on Clubhouse, one group that is Japanese or so on, or, you know, just on even, you know, reaching in their language and they are feeling safe, that's fine by me. As long as this is streaming, you know what I mean, that data voices that are down there are not leaked to the Russian government. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they do need to have a safe haven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we do need to have, and I think so, like we had been working towards this safe haven online for a while, but we still need some insurance by the big techs or low techs or startups or you name it, any of them, that you treat my data with respect.
Before I put
because
my data
if I don't
there.
treat, because if you don't treat me, my data with respect, how I can ensure that you're not going to be, because what have been happening is data leakage almost every single day. We do have a data leakage somewhere. And when we do that, when we do have that, nobody pays attention anymore because then got normal.
Yeah.
And that's the really dangerous part of that story, is that you don't realize that the leakage will be happening more and more, and cyber attacks have been more and more and more, but you don't come to that startup or to that big tech and say, can you please make sure you respect and really take care of my data, even if I have to pay for it as a subscription, you know what I mean? But if I need to pay for my privacy, then I'm putting more inequality in that equation.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is all interesting, and I think we could go on for hours, but I want to spare our listeners and audience. So if it's okay for you, I would try to cut it here and maybe continue in another episode.
Sure.
Where we'll just, because there's so much. Yesterday we had our preparation talk where we saw there are some things that we want to talk about with you. So I guess we will just invite you back again on a new episode, and then we can go deeper in these fields. I think this was a good general start with data, citizenship, ownership, and our digital properties and everything. And it's been amazing. Thank you very much for giving us your insights, your perspectives, and also educating us on digital activism, giving us perspective. So from my side, I'll say thank you very, very much. It's been a great honor. And I'll give the word to Tom.
It has been an honor to me, and I'll be honored to have another episode. I know it's a lot of information. It's a lot of to cope in a way. But just for us to raise up as a question, and for everyone that is listening, that is out there, and that'll be listening later on, is how you treat your data. You should treat the same way you treat your house, you treat your family. Like, you really need to, the same way that you take care of your son, your family, and make sure they have their security needs, that's the same ownership that you need to take care of your data. So it's easy to put to claim that it is somebody else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
We have a responsibility.
We do have responsibility because we are creating every day. Yeah. You know what
Definitely.
I mean? Yeah. So it's just like for the listeners to really think how I'm treating my data and how the other ones are treating it. I am sharing with everyone. Everyone has an access, or did I decide to do an action towards that, or I'll be just going with the flow? Because if you decide to go with the flow, that's fine by me too.
But it starts with us, right?
It starts with us.
It starts with us.
And it has to be a conscious decision.
Exactly.
If we share something.
And when we do have a conscious and humanity, it's much better.
Yeah. That will automatically lead to, these things that we need, and those rights that we want will automatically be established if that's the way that we think about it. If we think about it the same way as a basic human right? Right. Yeah. So I think
that's where we need to go. That is just what I'm saying. Humanity here, in a way, is that sometimes we had been so much techy, really techy, tech savvy in a way, and that we don't have the claiming on in a situation like how many deaths we have daily on COVID basis. And we just don't treat them as death.
No, it's a number,
We
right?
treat-
It's a
We
number
treat
to
them
us.
as a number and a
It's a statistic.
statistic number,
Mm-hmm.
and they all have a story behind that. So use your data as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's the
You
same
have,
with the village you told about, right? It's
Yeah.
those people who who aren't very data literate. We also need these rights for those people, right? Because otherwise they can't stand up for themselves and make sure that their data is safe and not abused, because it can definitely be abused, especially if there's a lot of inequality. It just gets it gets scaled up. The
Yeah.
inequality gets even bigger when that happens. So yeah.
Yeah, and we do have an abysmal. We already have an abysmal.
Exactly. It will just even
normal.
get bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
How about, we always do the, well, not always, but we've started to do the after talk, so we can continue the conversation in the after talk. So we'll just stop the recording and the stream and start over, and then we can just keep on talking.
Sure.
So,
I just want to say, to the people who are listening on Spotify, thanks for sticking with us. We do have the stream every Wednesday at 9 on twitch.tv/the Controverse. After that, we have a little bit
time.
Central European time. Yes, I'm sorry. So 9 p.m. Central European time is when we go live on Twitch every Wednesday normally. So you could find us there. And we also have a little bit of an after talk after that, which we will also have this stream, and that is only live. We don't record that. And it goes away after a couple of days on Twitch. So if you want to catch that next time, feel free to come over on Twitch. Thank you very much, Tatiana, for being with us. We'll see you again in the after talk and in another episode. Thank you, Bello, for being here, for being my co-host here.
Thank you for letting me.
And thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time on another episode of The Controverse. Thank you very much for listening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.